And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather as we bring you the most detailed imagery you'll find anywhere on the closest star, the most comprehensive space weather in the world. We've got a huge conflagration, an increase in solar activity, more sunspots, large sunspots, very high likelihood of X-class solar flares, very high likelihood of earthly-oriented coronal mass ejections, and lots more. Let's do it. Starting out looking at the southwestern limb here. Huge plasma filaments suspended down there. Have they collapsed yet? Have they ejected? We'll let you know later in the video what the current state of affairs is. Huge sunspots, huge numbers of sunspots. The Eugene Bagashov filament is still quite in effect. There's also the Elon Musk filament down here in the southern hemisphere. Yes, naming filaments after living people, because filaments are lively portions of the chromosphere, of the solar corona, I should say. So quite a few sunspots, quite a few large sunspots, some growth, some increase in the radial flux. There's the full disk view to put things in a little better perspective. You can see how huge that filament is. It's probably something like 50 Earth diameters in length. This prominence down here in the southwest. And here's one of our new favorite composites. That's 171 plus 335 angstroms. It's the last 24 hours from SDO. And we're going to show you lots more imagery of the closest star here, including some close-ups of these huge sunspot groups. First, the zoomed out intensitygram. You can see some growth happening with both of these groups. Also some growth happening behind this major group down here, so lots of activity. And there's the colorized magnetogram. By the way, if you haven't checked the links below the video, check the description. You can find the link for SureMed down there. If you want to improve your health, join the American Better Health Organization and get discounts on all kinds of things like pharmacy, vitamins, labs, diabetic supplies, MRI and CT scans. Get discounts on vision, dental, and obtain access to virtual veterinarians, counselors by phone, and doctors by phone. Just those three things alone should be worth the $20 a month. Consider becoming a member of the American Better Health Organization, DBA SureMed. To improve your health, you can find links again below the video and on the homepage at smashomash.com. Welcome to the Near Renaissance. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists, as we cite a plethora of facts on the channel. So support the channel via clicks if you're unwilling and or unable to open your cobweb-encrusted wallet and send us a few bucks per month by doing something like, joining the Smash team, picking up some merch, checking out the Hemp Lucid shop, another link that you can find on the homepage. So there's the link to SureMed right there. Right below it is the link to Hemp Lucid, our latest affiliate/sponsor. Save now, stress less. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee on all of the products. And they're only the best. They're better than the competitors' products. Of course, everybody's got their own CBD company nowadays. Save 10% on these. And we'll have to do more product review videos about the Hemp Lucid products. Shout out to Hemp Lucid, our latest affiliate/sponsor. They make great gifts. Tons of products there, dozens of products. And let's take a look at volcanoes. Guess what's been erupting? Shivaluch. Yes, Shivaluch. So there's some compelling imagery there of the fire and icy situation going on at Shivaluch as lava cascades down the icy peaks of the Kamchatkan volcano. Shivaluch has been producing some new real estate. Also, Abiko producing a flight level 070. Sakurajima flight level 070. That's a 7,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Mount Ibu flight level 070, 7,000-foot ash plume. 21,000-foot ash plume at Semeru. So Semeru's been exploding on the Isle of East Java. Popocatépetl exploding, flight level 200, 20,000-foot ash plume. 19,000-foot ash plume over Colombia from Nevado del Ruiz. Sangay in Ecuador exploding, flight level 230, flight level 240 over Sabancaya. It's located in Peru. It's exploding. It's a 24,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. And if you're wondering about Mauna Loa, well, it's still erupting. It's still erupting. There's the feed from Two Pineapples as some lava fountaining continues. Looks like perhaps a cinder cone is forming there as new real estate forms on the Big Isle of Hawaii. Shout out to Two Pineapples. Congratulations on your 13,000 subscribers. We remember you when you had like 2,000 subscribers. Congratulations on achieving that many subscribers on the quote platform and quote of YouTube. Next, looking at global seismicity, that's the past 90 days. We have seen an uptick. There was a 6.7 magnitude quake yesterday near Samoa. There's the location of that. We didn't note any tsunamis being generated. However, we did send out email alerts to Smash Team members who signed up for email alerts at smashomash.com/SmashTeam. That quake came in at 1924 Universal Time yesterday. So a bit of an uptick here in seismicity over the past 24 hours. A number of 5+ magnitude quakes like this 5.4 at the Reykjanes Ridge, this 5.0 at Indonesia, a 5.5 at the Loyalty Islands, and then only 24 minutes later, that 6.7. So 5.5 and then a 6.7, not far apart from each other geographically speaking. A 5.1 in Argentina also struck at 21:04 Universal Time. That one was at extreme depth, over nearly 170 kilometers depth. Samoa had a 5.1. Mariana Islands had a 5.1. A 5.1 occurred in the South Atlantic there, hundreds of miles west of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. The Bay of Bengal had a 5.2. Solomon Islands had a 5.7. So a little bit of an uptick there on earthquakes, and let's get back to space. No, we are not suggesting that solar features, coronal holes, things like this are causing earthquakes. If there is any correlative value, let us know in the comments what you think. However, we're not suggesting that there is any relationship. Remember, folks, correlation is not causation. And if you don't have a physics explanation for your wild theories, then they're probably not valid. By the way, if it's too difficult for you to put your own theories into simple terms, then they're probably nonsense, or maybe you don't understand them yourself. That's the last 24 hours of SDO 171 angstroms. We don't discourage you from having wild theories. However, you have to have a physics explanation for them to be considered. Next, the 10.7 centimeter radial flux now at 144, so well above the 81-day moving average. Here you'll see this red line here, this dark red line, that's the 81-day average, and now the 10.7 is well above it at 144 solar flux units. A solar flux unit is 10,000 joules of radial flux density. And you can see this huge uptick in the sunspot number here, about to surpass where we were in October. So the last time we reached 100 sunspots was back in late October, and we are expecting to surpass that today as we have seen some growth. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard not forecasting any geomagnetic storms, just some mild geomagnetic unrest late in the day on the 7th. I think they're going to be a little bit late on that. I think by midday tomorrow, on December 6th, we will actually have, well, we'll have the high density portion of the incoming coronal hole high-speed stream. We do see things subsiding here over the past hour at least. Now dropping below 500 kilometers per second. We'll get to the solar wind in a minute. First, here's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. And good morning, Tin Man 1057. Thanks for leaving a comment. So things pretty steady here over the last 4 hours. Again, Earth's magnetic moment from space. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. This is in nanotesla magnetic flux density. It is also the last 4 hours. We show it daily on our daily space weather videos. At least we've got 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space and the ground. 4 hours each day for the past pushing 6 years, folks. 6 years. Coming up in, I believe, in June or maybe May. KP index currently at 2.67. KP 2.67, the planetary K index for you new viewers, is a measurement of global geomagnetism. And here comes the real-time solar wind data. Keep in mind this is measured at Lagrange point 1. Lagrange point 1, about 1 million miles from the Earth, well outside Earth's magnetosphere. Otherwise, it would not be able to be measured. So there's the current state of affairs, now getting back above 500 kilometers per second. Solar wind is currently at 505 kilometers per second and just under 9 protons per cubic centimeter. By the way, we did have a brief period of geomagnetic unrest yesterday, and it was because of this strong negative BZ signal. Right in here and in here. A strong negative BZ is the vertical component of the magnetic field, which is more likely to induce geomagnetic currents. And let's move on to some magnetic data. So there is the, let's see, it looks like the GOES 16. I'm not sure which one that is. It looks like the GOES 16 and the GOES 17 needed to do some maneuvering there to maintain their geosynchronous near equatorial orbits. That's what those arc jet moments are. Those are plasma produced by the thrusters of the GOES 16 and GOES 17. And the magnetometers are in a tighter range here, little lower highs and higher lows. Next, looking at the heliospheric current sheet, as there is a magnetic tug-of-war going on in the east. It looks like so far the northern hemisphere is winning, as we have a South Pole current sheet showing up in terms of polarity there. That is our top view ecliptic plane field plot. Part of the National Sunspot Observatory, by the way, the Gong 2 data. It's splentacular. We did actually forecast more activity in the northern hemisphere a few days ago. If you remember, if you don't believe me, go watch our older videos. We do it daily. Run through a bunch of facts so you don't have to. Next, looking at our line of sight field plot, the solar B field shown here in blue, solar polar fields in red for south, green for north. Brings us to coronal holes. Keep in mind this data is already 1 hour and 55 minutes old. Here's our coronal hole line of sight plot, and we are seeing a very large and well-defined trans-equatorial coronal hole facing the Earth here. At the moment, it is South Pole oriented, and it should be super obvious in the 211 angstroms wavelength from SDO. Very well-defined coronal hole there. And next it's time to move to sunspots. So there we go. We do have some additional named sunspot groups there, at least 3157. Frankly, I'm surprised we don't have a new named group here, because that really is 2 sunspot groups there. But whatever, it's 3153. I'm fine with it. I'm not hung up on names. I don't have a labeling disorder. So let's continue on here. The likelihood of major flares is very, very high. You can see here reaching up above 60% for an X-class flare at some points during that last 24-hour run there. Let's take a look at sunspots. There's the SDO continuum. And what's wrong? Is that not close enough for you? All right, there we go. That's a little closer. 3153 really should be 2 sunspot groups, but okay. It's really the individual umbrae that count toward the sunspot number, so that's the last 24 hours of 3153. And here's the northern hemisphere. Quite a lot of sunspots up there. Sunspot number to go back over 100 today, I believe. And next, let's look at energetic particles and solar flares. As far as energetic particles go, we don't have any. We haven't had any for weeks. No spikes in the proton flux. No relativistic particles there besides the baseline level detected by the GOES 16. As far as solar flaring, these sunspots have been underperforming big time, barely making it into the C-class. Barely making it into the C-class range. Largest flare of the past 24 hours was only a C2.73, which occurred at about 5:30 this morning. So this is the last 24 hours from SDO in 94 angstroms. And it looks like the flares are coming from the northern hemisphere. Here's 131 angstroms for that same period of time. Once again, folks, likelihood of very large solar flares like X-class flares is above 50%. Likelihood of coronal mass ejections also nearly 100%. We're seeing some underperforming here. And accountability always comes, folks. Accountability always comes. Now, we encourage our viewers to look up, which is why we like to create a star chart. And I didn't draw in the ecliptic today. So there's the ecliptic. The yellow line is the path the sun will take across the sky as Mars sets in the west and Cygnus rises in the northeast over Lehigh Valley. That's what's going on at the moment. And here's what's going on in the solar system. Keep in mind, this is not to scale. Here's our 1-week solar system forecast. There's where things will be in 7 days on 12/12. As Earth swings around to the lonely side of the sun, Mercury and Venus are catching up. Next, we're going to look at some coronagraphs. Coronal mass ejection activity has been minor over the past 24 hours. A little CME showing up there. Is it earthly directed? Well, the answer is probably not. We're not seeing any halos. We're not seeing any indication of anything headed Earth's way. Let's just verify that by looking at stereo A at Lagrange 0.5 and the Soho-Lascaux C3 at Lagrange 1. For you new viewers, Earth would be off in this orientation. From the perspective of stereo A, Earth would be off like on this line. And we ain't got any ejecta. However, there is a coronal hole high-speed wind stream headed this way. So here's the last 24 hours of SDO 304 angstroms plus the coronagraphs. The Soho-Lascaux C2 and C3. Here we'll zoom out a little bit farther. And here we'll zoom out even further to the full zoom. So quite calm here, underperforming in terms of coronal mass ejections and solar flare activity, considering how many sunspots we see. And these little droughts in activity do not last forever. So check out the giant filaments here. We've got the Eugene Bagashov filament up here and the Elon Musk filament down here in the south. Let us know in the comments if you think these filaments will eject. Maybe they'll come out at the same time and combine into a superfilament, destroying all of mankind. Again, let us know what you think. Huge filament up here in the northern polar region. Prominences down here. Prominences, filaments galore. Tons of filaments, tons of sunspots. Again, likelihood of coronal mass ejections nearly 100%. Likelihood of large solar flares also nearly 100%. So here's this filament we were talking about earlier. It's still hanging out down here in the southwestern limb. Looking a little demonic, perhaps. Huge filament there, rotating around. We'll zoom out here. This is the last about 2.5 hours from the GOES 16 SUVI with its great wide field of view. Great for showing CMEs, prominences, etc. And here's a narrower view for the past 24 hours. That is from SDO instead. And you got a great view here of this prominence as well as the musk filament down here and the Bagashov filament up here. And this brings us to our bonus features segment. So we're always interested in what's going on with our instruments. So we're looking at the satellites community dashboard, and things have calmed down for satellites here. Just some minor surface charging hazards there, moving into the Central Pacific Ocean. Low energy electrons building up on the surfaces of satellites causing that. It's minor. It's unlikely to cause any communications breakdowns. And the GOES electron flux here has now dipped below warning levels. It looks like it has peaked. There's a 7-day chart. You can see the peak was on the 3rd. And here's the forecast model, NOAA expecting a decrease. We could expect a little bigger decrease here. I would expect this to be more down here when we see the coronal hole high-speed stream arrive. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. When I say ion, well, pardon the pun. Here is our 1-year chart of the electron flux from Solon.info. That's the greater than 2 mega electron volt electron fluence as measured by the GOES 16 and GOES 17 from their geosynchronous orbits. And they measure it at the F ionosphere layer, located here at 300 kilometers of altitude. Here's the vibrational frequency of that slice of the thermosphere. We have been showing some enduring low-frequency anomalies, and those are indeed continuing. And if you're not familiar with looking at the raw ionogram imagery, don't worry, we've got the anomalygram for you as well. So here's the anomalygram, and you'll see low-frequency anomalies happening in South Africa, the South Atlantic, South America, the South Pacific. Also low-frequency anomalies occurring around the North Pole and India. That's anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And let's bring up the latest image. There's 11:15 universal time, ionogram, 11:15 universal time, anomalygram. And let's continue on to look at the total electron content. The total electron content is talking about the electrons from the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt down to your GPS handset. That distance right there is about 12,500 miles. And these are the free electrons. That graphic from Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. A little bit of an electron anomaly happening here around the Drake Passage. See a little bit of a high electron content there. And we look at the total electron content forecast. We are seeing electrons out of place here. So perhaps a predecessor to the incoming coronal hole high-speed stream. We're seeing a little disorganization happening with the free electrons depicted here in the total electron content. We usually see them a little more concentrated around the equator at noontime. At the moment, a lot of electrons here out of place. So some big GPS errors happening there in perhaps unexpected locations. Stay tuned to the total electron content forecast if you like to see where the most likely places for GPS errors are in your area. Next, the latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. And we've got some major sunspots. Almost all of them in the northern hemisphere, except for this group here. This group down here has degraded to plage. So multiple different sunspot groups up here. Again, we are expecting the sunspot number to reach back above 100 today. And how about one more series of images from SDO? This is yesterday plus today in 3 wavelengths. So this is a great series of wavelengths here, folks. The 211 angstroms shows the coronal hole features and the extended corona. 171 angstroms shown in blue here shows the lower chromis, the lower corona and magnetic looping features. And the 304 angstroms shows filaments, ionized helium, prominences. And this brings us to our my ability to speak the English language. So that is next. Next is meteorology. And before we do that, let's just pause for station identification. Thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name in News. If you'd like to support the content, consider becoming a member of the Smash Team at smashamash.com/Smash Team. We replace Patreon with our own superior website. Give Smash staff a raise by becoming a member of the Smash Team or becoming a patron. We still are on Patreon, and there is a credit crawl coming back. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you'd like to be on the credit crawl, become a gold or silver Smash Team member at smashamash.com/Smash Team. You'll get additional content, and our Smash Team members got additional content in the past few days. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter. Look at our pathetic number of followers on Twitter. 339 followers, despite having 17.9 thousand tweets. Yes, the hashtag system is broken. Social media is shattered. All it does is parrot stale, boring, already famous ideas from already famous, ultra-rich celebrities. It's free speech is not fixed. Censorship is not fixed. Elon Musk has not restored free speech to the internet. Stop believing nonsense, but do follow us on Twitter because, well, we share things you'll only be able to find there. For example, you can find links to the 12 Days of Smashmas. Yes, the 12 Days of Smashmas. Today's day 5, and it's a secret what we'll be releasing, but there is a link to the playlist on the Twitter page. Twitter.com/smashamash. Also save 25% at the merch shop. You can find links on the homepage at smashamash.com to Smasho merch, as well as below the video. You'll find our products in order of best selling. And check it out, Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera has upended our previous bestseller, moved it into second place. Our bestseller now, Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera. Thanks again to our members who've purchased items. So whatever you do, folks, do not pole vault the caldera. If you're going on a volcanic vacation, leave your vault pole at home. Pole vaulting the caldera could be very hazardous to your health, and we need the views, frankly, on YouTube. So make sure you do not pole vault the caldera. Be careful now. Volcanic pumice, it is very grippy, but it is also very injurious if you fall on it. So don't pole vault the caldera. Keep in mind our finest days lie ahead. If you're going through hell, keep going. Civilization's not ending. Sorry, just not happening as much as some people would like it to. Are you trying to rationalize your bunker purchase? Sorry, civilization's just not ending. Things are kind of good on a worldwide basis. It's just that terrible decisions are creating terrible performance in people's lives. So don't pick a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and don't pole vault the caldera. Do visit the links. Press like, press subscribe, press share. Check our playlists. Did you see our review of Sam Adams Holiday White Ale? Or have you seen the Shut Up Fauci promotional ad about our Fauci Face of Evil bath mat? Yes. You can find playlists with all kinds of stuff. If you're watching on BitChute, by the way, make sure you go view on YouTube. You're missing a ton of content, as we don't put all of our videos on BitChute. Check our playlists for the Diamond Anvil Too Hard to Smash and lots more interesting features on our playlists. Check those out. Playlists featuring neutron stars traveling as fast as the solar wind. Our cosmology segments are splentacular. We haven't done any for a long time. We'll have to take a break during the Christmas holiday and create a cosmology segment for you. So first thing we're looking at here in terms of meteorology are ocean currents. Yes, ocean currents. And there's the Gulf Stream, which is still heating Ireland and Iceland, by the way. It's still making it up there. You can see the currents still making it to Europe, and Europe is still not experiencing a year without a summer. In fact, it had a very hot summer in the year 2022. So for all of those doomsayers, all those naysayers who are like, oh my God, we're all going to die, just not seeing it happen. Although albedo is a positive feedback mechanism for global cooling. Were you aware of this? Anyway, here are the currents of the Southern Ocean. And let's get into our meteorological data. So here are the wind patterns. These are the surface winds of the eastern world. These are the jet streams of the eastern world like sands through the hourglass of time. We got some extreme Arctic air pushing its way down into Siberia as if it wasn't cold enough. Dag, check that out. Let's check the temperature there. Surface temperature. It's only negative 53.2 degrees. A portion of the planet that is so hot that it is cold. Anyway, here are the winds of the jet streams, rather. The jet streams of the Western world. Let's rotate that a little more. There we go. And here are the surface winds. Surface winds of the central world, looking like this. And here are the jets of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Continuing on, this is what clouds and fog are looking like over the Americas. That's our 3.9 nanometer radiation satellite as NASA projects the croissant-shaped Earth imagery onto a spherical globe because they're trying to convince people that Earth is not shaped like a croissant, folks. Sorry to say, Earth is shaped like a croissant. Stop listening to NASA's lies. Lots of fog around the Gulf Coast, by the way, which is what you're seeing there on weather.gov. If your county or waterway is lit, click your location. We scroll down to show the key there, weather.gov. It's very foggy around the Gulf Coast and southern Texas. Lots of winter weather advisories there, especially in Montana, also northern Iowa. So let's see the way the snow is going to play out here for the next 3 days. This is your 72-hour GFS positive accumulated snow depth change forecast. It is in inches. And things are finally subsiding for California here as they've received foot upon foot of snow. And several inches here coming to North Dakota and Montana. Also, Colorado going to get plastered here. Some spots forecasting over 2 feet of snow there for Colorado, it looks like. So here's your GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. It's the same model. It's just showing all the precipitation, not just accumulated snow. Some lingering rains to hang out in the southeastern portion of the U.S. over the next 3 days. Once again, that's your GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast. And let's move on to our windy.com map. And we're looking at precipitation type, so we're going to let this advance. This is the European forecast. And some ice storms coming to northern Iowa there. We're just letting this advance here. This is the precipitation type forecast for the European model. We'll let this advance into Thursday to show you a 72-hour Euro forecast. Rain is depicted here in blue, ice is depicted in pink, and snow is depicted in white. Makes sense? That's where things will be on Thursday, December 8th at about 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Next, our NASA GOES lightning mapper showing a huge lightning storm continuing here in the central Atlantic. Check it out. Just a whopper of a lightning storm there. Not a great place to be on a boat, I would suspect. That is a huge lightning storm there. And let's check lightningmaps.org for a real-time lightning map. Quite an active cell out there in the central Atlantic. And there are indeed some active lightning strikes happening there, although it looks a little calmer than it's been for the past about 10 hours. Anyway, continuing on, here's our U.S. Doppler radar map. Give that a minute. Let's just press refresh just to make sure. So there's the full 50 states of AUSA, the allegedly United States of America. And here is the lower 48. That's the U.S. Doppler radar map. Here is shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog. It's still dark over most of the country. Leave us a comment if you've ever visited Cadillac Mountain, Maine. We've got a timeout happening here. Please bear with me at the Smash News Network Least Busted Name and News. We had data timeout. Don't get spaced out. This is the water vapor map. And this is your recap. There's vertical motion of water droplets from the ground-based systems known as Doppler radar. Here is clouds and fog from the 3.9 nanometer interactive weather satellite suite. The Crescent Earth. And last but not least, here is water vapor. Some dry massive air mixed in over here around the Colorado-Utah border. Anyway, that's where we have to close things out. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network Least Busted Name and News. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. We'll see you soon. Don't forget to visit our links. Help us out with clicks. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network Least Busted Name in News.